today we're gonna be discussing Maniac. But first, let's introduce the crew.
Which episode is it?
I don't remember.
72 of
Seven.
things.
Yeah.
872, okay.
Yeah, I think so.
And it is the original Maniac from 1980, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the original. My last pick was the remake, and I wanted both of them to have an own episode because I think they deserve it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's introduce the crew. I have Zombie and Josef.
Hello.
Yo.
How are you guys doing?
I'm a bit tired, but otherwise good.
I'm good. A bit tired, and I'm starting to get tired of my fucking neighbors, who's making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
I know the feeling.
Well, we've
Been doing so for a while.
Yeah, well, we've been waiting for like 40 minutes to start recording because of my neighbors making a ton of noise. And they're still doing it, and they've been doing it for almost 3 hours now, so I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
So basically what you're saying is we're about to have a sequel to the Maniac.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say so. Or it would be a sequel to The Punisher, perhaps.
Oh, I like the Punisher better. I like that again.
All in due time.
So, do you guys have any recently seen?
Well, no. Unfortunately
Unfortunately,
not.
no one is surprised.
Not at this point, no.
Yeah, I watched a couple of things. I rewatched the 3 CGI Resident Evil movies. Degeneration, Damnation, and Vendetta, in preparation to watch the Netflix series Resident Evil Infinite Darkness, which I've heard is just 4 episodes, and they're basically if you put all the episodes together, it's basically just another CGI movie. So what's the point? But I rewatched those in preparation for that, and I also continue on with Dexter. I think I got like 8 episodes left of the 8th season. But besides that, I haven't catched anything besides the feature presentation.
Nice. Are you hyped for the new season of Dexter?
Come again?
Are you hyped for the new season of Dexter?
I am. I'm also hyped for the upcoming Chucky TV series, which will get released on October the 12th. I don't know if it's a TV series or if it will, the whole series will get dumped on some streaming platform. But I'm really hyped for that because it's a continuation from the movie series. So it will continue on from Cult of Chucky, from what I've understood. And Brad Dourif is doing the voice for Chucky as well. So, and Don Mancini, the creator of Chucky, is the guy behind the series. So, also, I think it will get released on October the 14th on Amazon Prime, I think. The I Know What You Did Last Summer series, which I'm also pretty hyped for. I really hope that that series will be good as well. But yes, I'm hyped for three series now, right now.
High
So,
expectations.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm kind of hyped by the new Dexter, by the way.
I'm
I-
really hyped for that.
Yeah, I wasn't at first because I didn't like the way it ended, but I might still like it. It's Dexter. How can it be bad?
It, from I've read somewhere that it will be a bit different from the rest of the series. Without going into spoilers, how the series end for Zombie, it from what I understood, it would take place 10 years after season 8, and he has settled down in some small town, and someone starts to bump people off one by one, and I got I got a theory who will turn out to be the killer, but I won't go into that until the series is released and everyone has watched it. But I got a theory where the season will go.
Fair.
Yeah, same here. I saw a trailer for it, and they kind of spoiled a few things. It was a real shitty trailer because they had like spoilers in it. But yeah,
The only things I've seen is the first teaser with the. I think it's an axe or something. I can't
Okay.
remember. It's just a like 10-second teaser.
oh okay. I think they did put out like a full on trailer.
Yeah,
Ads.
I saw that as well.
Yeah, do not watch that.
Yeah, I can't remember the trailer, to be honest.
Yeah. Good.
But I've seen it, but I can't remember it. So,
Okay.
have you seen anything lately?
Yeah, I rewatched Blade 1.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a good one. That's a
Yeah.
really good one.
Yeah, I love the Blade movies. And I watched Bo Burnham's comedy special, Inside.
Ooh.
Yeah, that
Which one was it?
it's on Netflix and it's called Inside. It's made by a comedian called Bo Burnham. He's a
Never-
comedian.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Or him, I mean.
Okay, it's about him, being locked up in his home during Corona, and
Okay.
he does everything on his own with like it's just him and a camera, and he makes jokes and makes songs and stuff. That's for the most part really funny, but it gets really like depressing.
It gets like real fast from one moment to
Yeah.
another.
Yeah, it goes back and forth to being funny, and then it's just some real deep depressive stuff, and then it goes back to being
Yeah.
funny.
And what's special about that movie in particular is that it is directly made like 5 years after like his break, after his special Make Happy.
Yeah.
It became like real big after its release for those that watched him earlier.
So you've seen that special then?
I haven't seen it, but I've seen a lot about it. Like the second it was released, I got like bombarded everywhere with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright.
Same here. I saw like videos, all kinds of videos about it, so I had to check it out because it was so. Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen his others, What and Make Happy, but I haven't seen that one just yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's worth checking out actually. It's really impressive that he did it on himself because it really looks like he has a whole team there. And
Yeah,
he's really like creative with lighting and stuff. Like in some scenes, he only has like a cell phone for light, but he makes it look really good.
Huh.
Yeah. And I think it's very much music because he's a very musical guy. So
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
much all. All of it is pretty much just him playing songs.
yeah,
It's essentially an album with music videos.
yeah.
It sounds pretty shitty when I describe it like that, but it's not.
Like it's very funny because it can range from him talking about like Jeff Bezos and him drinking other rich people's blood to him talking about how genuinely like depressed he is, and after the song he has to really preface that he is not actually gonna commit suicide because of how real it looked in the music video, and then back to something other totally unrelated to that.
Yeah.
It really makes you have a whole range of feeling from what I understand it.
Huh.
Yeah. There's one song in particular where does that well. I'm not gonna spoil what happens, but it's called That Is How the World Works.
Yeah,
And yeah, it's a whole range of emotions in that song. Some of them being what the actual fuck.
Okay.
Yeah.
found anything else to watch?
No, I think that's about it. As far as I can think of. Yeah.
Fucking hell. If there's any noise on the audio track, it's because it sounds like my neighbor's trying to get down to my apartment for some reason.
Through the roof.
Yeah. Okay, so are we rolling the trailer, or is there anything else we should poke around in?
No, I think we can roll the trailer.
Roll the trailer. Okay, here it is then.
Maniac, you can lock your doors, but you can't lock the madman out of your mind. Maniac. It will tear the life out of you.
The plot is pretty straightforward. It's about a maniac and who kills women. That's pretty much the overall story going on. As it progresses, you kinda can pick together some stuff of his origin, much like in the remake. Yeah, it's pretty much all I have to say about the synopsis.
It's not very heavy on the story.
No, yeah,
on
exactly.
the plot, I mean.
Yeah, it's not a plot-heavy movie.
No, it's not.
It's all about the atmosphere.
It's murder and mannequins.
Yeah, definitely. So, I kind of know what Josef thinks about it. So I'm curious, what does Zombie think?
You saw the remake, right, Zombie?
Yeah, I was on that episode as well. I
Okay.
do believe I was.
Yeah.
And I'm not 100%. I have conflicting feelings, and that is not because of the movie itself, but more because of how close in it was on the remake. Because I have still a pretty fresh memory on what happened in that one, and having seen that one before this one, and those having watched those two so close in on one another, kinda made the movie like a bit anticlimactic. I was mostly gonna know what was gonna happen, but it was really nice watching what scenes in the remake where they came from in the original, and I liked the character and the actor's portrayal of him.
Josef Spinell.
I'm not gonna remember that name. I'm so bad with names. And I can see it in my audio, so it may be picked up in the podcast, but my washer is going on upstairs, so that may be a noise. But yeah.
This will be a very noisy episode.
Yeah, it really is. Just everywhere noise. Ogge is like the only one that is noise free.
Yeah, well, he's in the lunatic house, so he's in his padded cell.
Yeah, exactly.
Lucky.
The only way we can record.
They've come to take him away, haha.
Yo.
Oh, yeah. The funny farm. Sorry, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's totally cool. But yeah.
So you thought the original was a bit anticlimactic if you compare it to the remake, then?
Mostly due to the fact that I watched the remake very recently and have still a semi-good like memory of it. I think that I would feel different about this movie if I had like maybe a year apart of them, and the memory of the other one would be more fuzzy. But yeah, somehow I feel like not much happened in this movie, yet things did happen. I don't really know what to say about it. It's
There are scenes in the original that feels like they're just filler. I can agree on that, but those scenes are there to.
They're there for a very good reason.
Yeah, well, they're there for making what's it called, character development.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of Maniac, you understand that this man is got some issues, to say the least.
Oh yeah.
But you don't know why, and you get small hints and clues during the duration of the film. As it progresses, you know, you hear his thoughts, and he talks to himself, and you know, he got those burn scars on his chest, and so on and so on.
What I think is that this movie simply wasn't really long enough. I think it could have been longer to really develop, not necessarily like spell it out for you, but simply give you more of a feel of his character and this a bit more his sinister side, in a way.
I can't remember what his motivation in the remake. Wasn't it like he got his motivations from that his mother was a prostitute crackhead or something?
I think it's the same in this one. I think
I think she's she
Yeah, it's a very similar motivation.
Yeah.
You don't get like the full picture, but you get like a pretty good idea where
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I'm not sure if that was good, but he really like loved his mother, and she went around with a lot of different men. Maybe because of prostitution, maybe not, and that she punished him by locking him up in a closet and gave him most likely scars.
Yeah, I think she used cigarettes, to
Yeah, to scar him.
to burn him.
Yeah.
And that might
and
be his motivation.
yeah, but because he takes a cigarette and burns it on one of the mannequins.
Yeah, in a similar way, you can see the scarring on his chest in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
And-
he also explains that she left him. I'm not sure, but I think he says, and that's
He-
kind of why he wants to preserve them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in one scene, I think it's during the dinner scene with Anna, Caroline Monroe's character, the photographer. He says something about she died in a car crash, and
Yeah, an automobile accident.
yeah, he talks about preserving someone through photographs and such in a later
And then
scene.
keeping them.
Yeah.
Which should have been a red flag for Caroline Monroe's character. But
Yeah.
she's like,
Yeah.
it's okay.
That is one hell of a red flag.
Yeah, I would have like, nope, see ya.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When you see that red flag, that's when you leave the country.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I like the character more in this one or the other one, because they have both strengths in the character, and I do like both portrayal of the character that they're playing, and I don't necessarily dislike this movie, but
I think the portrayal here of Frank, which is the character's name,
yeah,
in the original he's more like an everyday man when he's not out killing women, of course.
yeah,
But on the outside, he looks like an everyday man in his middle-aged everyday man. While in the remake, he's more of a weirdo.
yeah, he's more of an awkward outcast, like
yeah,
Yeah.
all of the time, and boy do he play the awkward outcast well, like.
yeah. I love it, like
The
I would
awkwardness.
in the remake. But on the other hand, most of the remake is from his point of view, which makes it. In the original, Joe Spinell, you see him throughout the entire film, while in the remake you only see glimpses of Elijah Wood.
Yeah,
So the performance from Elijah Wood is more in his voice than his body language and everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
So it's two very different performances. So
Yeah.
I personally think that it's kind of hard to compare Maniac from 1980 and Maniac from 2012, because
I think-
they are similar, but they at the same time aren't.
I think the only way you can like really compare them is to compare certain scenes that are similar to one another rather than the characters themselves, because they feel more like similar characters than the same character
Yeah.
Yeah.
with the same story, or at very least very similar stories.
Yeah, they riff on the same strings, sorta.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I don't necessarily dislike this movie because it's not a bad movie. I think simply that it's just not my kind of movie that I would go watch again. I don't regret watching it, but I don't think this necessarily is a movie that I would return to. So I think one should watch this movie at the very least once. Simply because it has an interesting killer. And you should watch this one first, though, I would say, because I do think they made, if I remember correctly, the remake a bit bloodier.
The remake is even more gruesome than this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it is better to watch this one first.
Yeah, the original is, well, it is a very explicit and violent film. But
Yeah,
the
dude's
remake,
head explode.
yeah, but the remake even, it ramps it up even more.
Yeah, so if you like watch that one and then this one does look a little bit pale in that regard.
I'd say like
Because
I'd say that overall the remake has more violence, but this has more like a single violent scenes, like when he blows that guy's head up with a shotgun, and also the way he dies in the end is a bit more bloody and more disgusting than the remake, I think.
Yeah.
But as of the rest, the remake is just more gruesome.
Yeah, not that I'm not saying that the violence in this movie is bad or that it's not enough. It's just if you watch one,
Zombies like more blood.
well, if for example you have, I think Evil Dead in their remake, it looks like there's like a raining blood everywhere towards the end, and then you go and watch the original, and it's like, what happened? Both are.
The original
Very good.
is pretty gory, though.
Yeah,
It's a lot
and
of
like
blood and violence in that movie.
Yeah.
and yeah, like it feels like you come with an expectation that, oh, if this a remake, maybe they hold the same like level of violence. But yeah, I don't honestly know what to say about this movie.
How would you rate
It
it?
is it is very hard to like, I feel, talk about it because it has a very simple story attached, and yeah, it does get a 6 out of 10 from me. Because it's not bad, it just isn't a movie.
It's a middle of the road type of film for you.
Yeah.
Okay then. What about you, Josef?
Well, I've been trying to think. I sat down and thought, what am I gonna say about Maniac from 1980 that hasn't been said about 3 billion times already? And I came to the conclusion that there isn't anything. But my thoughts about it, I prefer the remake, like I said on the episode we did on that movie a couple of months back.
Yeah.
I prefer the remake of the original Maniac, but I still think that this is a brilliant film. I mean, even a bit over 40 years after its release, it is still a very unsettling, nasty, and a dark film. If you think about when it was made. It was made at the tail end of the 70s and very early 80s. So, if you compare other horror movies around the same time, this is a pretty hardcore movie.
Yeah.
The best thing with the film, in my opinion, is of course Joe Spinell's performance, and for some reason I must have had my head up my ass or something, but because when I rewatched it this time, I went into it with the thought that Joe Spinell's performance was kind of shit in the film, besides the murder scenes. But while I was watching it, I came to the conclusion that I'm a fucking idiot, because I think Jo Spinell, at least in this film, I haven't seen him in that many movies, but at least in this film, he has a really good performance. And like I said earlier, you can't really compare his performance to Elijah Wood's performance, because they're so different. But I think Spinell does a really good job here, as this sweaty, disgusting man who he can't have had a shower for weeks or months. So, since we get a pretty good look at his apartment, and it's like a one-roomer without a kitchen
Yeah.
and a toilet, it seems. And I think he did a really good job here. That's what I'm trying to say. I also think that Maniac, the original, got one of the best chase. I kind of guess you can also call it a stalking scene ever made in a film, and that is the scene when he follows the nurse. I can't remember how I reacted to it the first time I saw it, but that scene still, I still think it's a very tense scene, when he's searching for her in the bathroom stalls, and he's coming up to the last stall, and he's like, nah, it turns around and goes away, which is very obvious what's gonna happen, of course, but still, up to the point when he turns around and goes away, it's really tense. And Maniac is one of the few films that makes me want to take a shower after I've seen it as well. It's one of those few movies that I almost feel dirty after I watched it, because how sweaty Spinell is.
Yeah.
The only downside with the film, in my opinion, is, and I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but I think Carolyn Monroe's performance isn't, the best. I've seen her in a couple of other films as well, and I don't watch movies with her because of her performance talent, if you say it like that. But that's really only the downside with the film, in my opinion. And Maniac, I think it's kind of odd that her character comes in so late in the film, as still the final girl. Since the final girls usually are introduced in the first part of the film, and she comes in like 50 minutes or something into the film.
Yeah, I genuinely thought like that was the one difference that the remake made. Like they introduced a interest to Frank, but no, that was not the case. It was just very, very late.
Yeah. Well, you could argue that the movie is from 1980, the year when the slasher movie started to take off with Friday the 13th, which was made a couple of months later.
Prior.
No, later.
Okay. But yeah, it should have introduced her earlier, because it felt like a very big shift in the movie that, oh, here's this girl, and oh, suddenly Frank is not only a murderous rampage, he's actually a person also. Because the only other time we have seen him around like a lot of other people being like quote unquote casual was like in the beginning before he murdered the hooker, just walking along.
Yeah.
And then we don't see him act like a normal person until he goes to talk with this girl at her home, which I must have missed it because I feel like it came a bit out of nowhere that he suddenly they acted like they knew each other and was very familiar like with one another, which kind of threw me off, and how just casual and normal he was.
Yeah, you're talking
Because-
about Anna.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot
okay.
her name.
Yeah.
Because the only time the two of them had seen each other was she taking a photo of him like from afar, and then there he was on her doorstep acting all casual.
Yeah, it felt. Yeah, yeah.
A bit forced.
Yeah, it felt. It felt like there was a scene missing in between there.
Yeah, of him like calling her or bumping into her and just having a small talk with her. And simply showing him dress up as this person and like physically showing you how like in his face how he becomes calmer and more regular looking, and then it felt like it would be a good to have some kind of transition between him being on a murderous rampage rather than him just combing the hair of one of his victims in a pair of sunglasses, and then in the next scene he is talking art to Anna. So I feel like they could have extended the movie a bit more to make that feel a bit more natural.
Yeah, the movie had a very low budget though. And
Yeah.
I will get into that in the background section, but
We haven't heard Augie's opinion.
yeah, well, I haven't given my rating yet.
No,
Yeah.
you should.
Yeah,
I think
Chris has to
Sorry about
finish.
that.
yeah, exactly.
My bad.
No,
Don't
no
worry, I
worries.
have an opinion.
I have feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah, there isn't much else I could say. I mean, it's a flawed movie, yeah, sure, but the overall film is really good, I think. And also, the Maniac from 1980 is a product of its time. I mean, during the 70s, you got all of these notorious serial killers going on. And I think Maniac is riffing on that. That fact that there were a lot of serial killers on the loose during that time period.
Yeah.
Because the movie is essentially about a serial killer, and that's the plot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Maniac, even though I prefer the remake, I still think the original Maniac is a brilliant film. It's flawed, yes, but I think it's one of those films you have to watch if you're a horror fan. If you for some reason have missed this movie, then go and watch it now. My rating will be 10 out of 10, of course.
Nice.
What are your thoughts about it? Okay.
I think it's really good. This is, I think, my third time watching it. Before I thought that the remake was like far superior, but now I think it's only like it's still better, but not like a superior movie in every way. This movie is a lot more visual, while the remake is more like auditory, like you hear.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
music and Elias' performance. And so, well, this is more like a visual, where you can, when you can see Spinell and just the overall grid of the movie. It's fairly violent. It's not like as a whole the remake is violent, but this has some very like violent and shocking scenes. Like, for example, when he shoots that guy in the head with a shotgun.
Do you know who that guy is, by the way?
It's a effect artist, right?
Yes.
It's a famous guy. I don't know exactly
Yes.
who, but
Tom Savini is his name, and he also did the effects in movies like Dawn of the Dead, Friday the 13th from the same year, Friday the 13th, The Final Chapter, The Prowler, The Burning, and so on and so on. So yeah.
Damn, legend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a pretty cool scene, to be honest.
Yeah, I actually got some background information on that as well.
Okay.
It really stands out
which is-
out of all the kills.
Speaking of that scene, by the way, but when I was watching this movie this time around, I got struck with the thought that why didn't they use that the shotgun scene in the remake? Because that scene is one of the most iconic scenes from this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I guess it would be a bit hard to do it in a POV type of way to make it suspenseful and so on, but still it's the most iconic scene from this film. So it was just something that struck me this time around.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. They should have tried that at least.
Mm.
It has potential.
Yeah.
And it would be really interesting to see it from a POV perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
But I think the reason may also be because in this movie, I think that is one of the differences in this movie and the remake, is that in this he does not only attack women, he attacks couples as well. Which I don't think he do in the remake. He only attack...
He kills one guy in the remake, I know. But that's because he interferes.
Yeah, with the final girl.
Yeah.
I think Elias' character is a bit more, I wouldn't say like coward, but
It's more pathetic.
yeah, I guess. Since the original, he also has like a lot of social skills and some confidence.
Yeah.
Because when you see when he's at the date, he's actually pretty good at talking, and it sounds like really intelligent.
Mm.
Well, Elijah, you can tell that he doesn't really have that. Elias' character doesn't have that, social. Like whenever he's having like a normal conversation, it's you can hear that
it's very awkward. Very, very awkward.
Very stale.
yeah.
And I think that he may also want to like be more successful in a way by going against people that are one-on-one, or women rather.
Yeah,
And-
Spinelli's a pretty, what's the word, sturdy guy. He's not. He wasn't the smallest man in the world, so to speak.
No,
Yeah.
While Elijah Wood is a little bit.
on the skinnier side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And Frank in the original is older, and therefore in a way more experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And he has
And
guns.
I think- yeah, and I think that might be a reason why they didn't have the shotgun scene, because in the remake he doesn't go up against couples. And so it would be odd to have just this one random couple that he kills just for that scene. I agree it should have been done, but from that kind of standpoint it would be like, yeah, it would have been if he maybe did it against a single person, but yeah, wouldn't really have the same impact.
Yeah.
But still, that scene should have been in the remake.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah, in some way it should have been.
Because like they are more technologically advanced then. And it would have been interesting to see what they would have done with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, true.
Now that I think about it, isn't it the scene in the end where she is in the car with an older gentleman, the final girl? And because
They crash with the car.
because I feel like that could have been a golden opportunity to like make such a scene if they really wanted to.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean to break you off.
No, that's cool.
We did it again. Oh no.
It's what we do. It's what we do in this podcast.
Yeah.
I think something that works in favor of this movie is that it is from 1980. Because that old, grainy type of look, I think it makes the movie look better.
Yeah, it doesn't look that polished.
Yeah,
Kind of fits his mindset.
yeah. I like that lack of polished look in this movie. It makes it look so much more like dirty and dark.
Like him.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, like Josef said, it has a very amazing chase scene, and
It's one of the best.
yeah, one of the best.
You
But
could
like-
argue that it's just a stalking scene because he just walks after.
Yeah.
But it,
But,
in a sense, it is a chase scene.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was meant to or if they missed it, but in the chase scene, when the
At the station, yeah, you can see
Yeah,
people.
wh-
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I thought. Like, why are you running? You're surrounded by people. This is where you're safest. But
Yeah.
then they disappeared like ghosts. And I'm
yeah,
like,
that's a goof.
Yeah, I
But-
don't
but-
think they meant to have people there because it felt like
Yeah, well, there's a reason for it. I will come back to it in the background. Yeah, you'll understand why they were there.
most. I guess that they couldn't really rent out the space, so that they had to make it with people in it. Simply, is my guess. But let's move on.
That's suspense.
It's almost as suspenseful as that chase scene.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, overall, I think this is like a. Even though it's a product of its time and it has flaws, I still think it's a 9 out of 10 because it has such a great atmosphere, and
Yeah,
it keeps you invested in it at all times. The thing for me that makes it not being a 10 is that it's kind of like I guess the progression of it, where it's kind of like where he kills someone and then he goes back to his apartment and talks, and then he kills someone again, and it kind of repeats almost.
it's very repetitive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and there's not much else going on except for his monologues that are great.
Mm.
That's the character development we talked about earlier.
Yeah, it has. Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, those scenes drags on a little bit. Yeah, at least when you've seen the movie before,
yeah.
it becomes.
And when
I mean,
and when the character development is very repetitive in its way of doing it, it kind of becomes like white noise at some point where you just we're here again. But yeah,
yeah, I kind of like. Yeah, even though I like that type of the character development that happens, I kind of wanted to be something else going on. The remake solved it pretty well with adding that girl Anna pretty early on into the movie.
Yeah.
So I think that was something they wanted to fix with it as well.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a 9 out of 10, and you should definitely check it out if you want, if you like horror movies.
Yeah.
Something that I realized watching this movie
Mm-hmm.
compared to the remake is that you never really get answered how he can afford the place where he lives. Like, what does he do as a job, or how does he get money?
He
While in the
there's a scene. It's the scene when Frank and Anna is talking about photography,
and he's a painter.
Yes,
I
I
that
don't,
was
I
it felt,
don't, I don't know if he was just bullshitting or
yeah.
just to have an excuse or whatever. But
Yeah, I felt like it was just a very offhanded comment that you didn't know if it was genuine or not because
Yeah.
you've never seen him do it. Compared to like in the remake, they actually show you that he has a job like restoring mannequins.
Yeah.
Most likely that he then sells them to stores and whatnot afterwards. Again, or to maybe collectors. But it's both a very fitting job for him to have, but also kind of explains to you that, yeah, he actually do have a job and make an income for his murder business.
it it could just be that they didn't have the budget to film scenes that explained it as well,
Yeah,
Yeah.
or they just didn't care about it.
He
because it would be very nice to like.
he might have
show
been
that.
on welfare too because he lives in a really small, shitty apartment.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have a car or pretty much anything. It's just
He have a car, but we don't know if it's stolen.
yeah, yeah, true.
And he has very little regard of the apartment burning up or not. Speaking
Yeah.
with burning candles and whatnot.
Yeah. It seems like the type of character who wouldn't give a fuck. About
Yeah.
stuff like that.
To be honest, to be fair to the character, yeah. But at the same time, those candles must live forever.
True.
Yeah, he doesn't take them out when he goes out either.
And when he wakes up, they're like
he
freshly
doesn't
lit.
blow them out when
Yeah.
he goes out. Nor when he goes to sleep.
Yet they're still like freshly lit candles every time you see them. But yeah,
Yeah.
do we have anything else to mention?
I was actually really hard pressed to come up with anything to say about this film because, like I said earlier, this is a movie that has been dissected and talked about 3 billion times already.
Yeah, to be honest, we were talking about the guy's candles just a second ago.
Yeah,
I don't think we have that much.
That might be something someone hasn't talked about earlier about this film.
Oh, I doubt it. I doubt people haven't talked about that.
But yeah, like we said, or rather me and Ogge said, this is a great film. And if someone out there hasn't seen it and they are interested in watching it, go and do it. It's a good watch. At least if you can stomach the violence in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, do we have anything else to say? It feels like we're grasping after straws here.
I am dry.
So, should we go into background?
Yeah, okay, so I got a shit ton here, and I found even more, but I decided to not include it. Okay, hold on to your butts, boys.
Firmly grabbed.
According to a Variety report, Maniac was scheduled for a midnight screening at the Cannes Film Festival on May 10th in 1980. The film had its US premiere in New York City on January the 30th on 1981. followed by a Los Angeles premiere on March the 6th, 1981. The budget was approximately $350,000, so it was very low budget. Friday the 13th had $550,000. So the box office for the film was approximately $10 million, so it was a profit at least.
Yeah.
The original budget of the film was merely $48,000 in cash. 6,000 of them were they came from Joe Spinell's $10,000 salary from the movie Cruising. I think that's an Al Pacino film, like a thriller with slasher vibes in it from the same year, from 1980, which he had recently completed. 12,000 came from Andrew W. Garoni, and the rest, which was 30,000, came from the director William Lustig. From his profits in the adult film business, he was a porn director.
Nice.
Prior to this movie. The three of them put all that money into a stock market account, and the amount grew to 135,000 as production continued. It was British producer Judd Hamilton who came up with the rest of the money, around 200,000. To complete the movie, as part of a condition that his then wife, Caroline Munro, would be cast as the heroine. So I think Caroline Munro's character was sort of a afterthought.
Yeah, it is visible in the movie.
Yeah. Principal photography began on October 21st, 1979, and wrapped on January 18th, 1980. Many scenes had to be filmed guerrilla style because the production could not afford the necessary city permits to film on location in New York City. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why there were people in that scene. Certain scenes had to have been filmed quickly, and afterwards the crew had to run away before the cops arrived.
Nice.
The infamous sequence where Frank murders the guy with the shotgun, the Tom Savini played character, was loosely inspired by the Son of Sam murders committed by serial killer David Berkowitz, who shot people in parked cars with a .44 special revolver. Savini, who, like we mentioned earlier, served as the makeup artist of the film, received the role for the male victim from him having already made a cast of his own head, which was filled inside with leftover food and fake blood.
Lovely.
And here's another fun fact: Savini, it is Savini who shoots the gun in the film. You see Joe Spinell jump up on the car, but it is Tom Savini who shoots the gun, and he used live ammunition for the scene. So directly after that, he immediately threw the shotgun into the trunk of a waiting car driven by an assistant, Luke Walter, who was a friend of Spinell, to avoid being caught by the police. The scene
This movie had really high stakes making it.
Yeah, the scene were filmed in just an hour, so that's what the whole thing with the guerrilla style. You know, they didn't have permits to film, and they use live ammunition during the filmmaking. Moving on, Maniac was one of the 3 films that Spinell and co-star Caroline Munro worked together. The other films being Star Crash. I think that came out in 1979. It's a Star Wars ripoff, and I think it's an Italian production. And in 1982, I believe, they worked together on The Last Horror Film, which is a movie I think we should cover at some point. It got some Maniac vibes to it, but it's a lot more goofy. According to director William Lustig, Italian horror director Dario Argento was supposed to be involved as co-producer because his wife at the time was originally offered the protagonist role but was unavailable. Also, Lustig's original request for the music was to have Goblin, Argento's band that did the score for his movies, at least during the 80s, I think the 90s as well, to do the score for in Maniac, before using Ye Shadowway as a second choice. Daria Nicolodi, who passed away last year, by the way, was originally cast to play Anna D'Antoni, the Caroline Munro character. But she was unable to go to New York for filming because she was still filming her scenes for Argento's Inferno in Italy. This connection between Maniac and Inferno. I, by the way, hate Inferno. The helicopter POV shot was unused second unit footage from Inferno, on which director William Lustig served as the uncredited location production manager. The headless corpse in the end is the Betsy Palmer corpse from Friday the 13th as well. Savini used the prop in both movies.
Nice.
The movie was never given a rating by the MPAA. The filmmakers knew it would receive the dreaded X rating for the violence and gore contained, and simply refused to submit it for any review because at
I
the
didn't
time.
even know that was an option.
Yeah, well, if a movie maker doesn't send it into the MPAA to get a rating for it, they can release it as an unrated movie.
Ah.
Well, they didn't do that because at the time it was easier for an unrated film to be shown in theaters than X-rated ones, because X-rated movies is always seen as pornographic movies. Despite the poster stating no one under 17 will be admitted, is a severely edited version of the film received an R rating in the South and was distributed in March of 1981 in several other states such as California. The unrated version shortly after its first US domestic release in New York in January of 1981. The film was refused a classification by the British Board of Film Classification, BBFC, upon its original cinema release, and was additionally banned for video in 1998. I don't know about if that's correct, but that's the fact I found at least. But it was later passed at an 18 certificate in 2002 with 58 seconds of cuts. And while it wasn't prosecuted for obscenity nor officially listed as a video nasty during the video nasty debacle in the UK, Maniac was seized by various police forces across Greater Manchester and Lancashire. I think that's how you pronounce it. During the video nasty panic, presumably based on the film's notorious reputation overseas. Have you guys heard of the video nasties?
No.
Not really. I know it's just like.
There are 2 documentaries about it called Video Nasties, Censorship, Moral Panic, something. Videotapes, Censorship, and Moral Panic, I think the first one is called. Second one is called Video Nasty's Draconian Days. I can highly recommend both of them. They are very, very interesting. It's about the moral panic and the Video Nasty's debacle in the UK during the 80s and early 90s, I believe. I can highly recommend both of them. If you guys want to get your hands on them, I might be able to help you out with that.
Cool. I'm interested.
Yeah.
Looks pretty.
Yeah.
Sounds actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is very interesting. We had a similar debacle in Sweden as well during the 80s because of the program Studio S, in which they talked about it was a special program. I think it was aired on the 6th of December 1980, and they were talking about video violence, and they showed scenes from movies like Tourist Trap, and Eaten Alive, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and so on. And yeah, well, it's a very interesting topic, and if you guys want to check them out, I might be able to help you.
Yeah, I like to check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also got that program if you want to see it. It's the Studio S program.
I think we should wrap it up soon.
Yeah. I only got a couple of more things. In Australia, the film's promotional campaign featured a censored version of the theatrical poster image, which blacked out the scalp held in the killer's hand, the iconic poster. The film was originally released on beta and VHS by Media Home Entertainment in 1981, I guess in the States. The film was released on DVD and VHS in North America by Anchor Bay Entertainment in 2001. And the Blue Underground re-released Maniac on Blu-ray on October 26th, 2010. A horror short promotional film was shot in 1986 by Josef and director Buddy Giovinazzo, entitled Maniac 2, Mr. Robbie, as a remake of the 1973 film The Psychopath, about a psychopathic children's television show host who murders abusive parents. The short was done to raise financing for a sequel to Maniac, and it was included with the 30th anniversary edition release of Maniac. The feature-length version of the film was never shot after Spinell died in 1989. Unfortunately. I have seen that short. It's in pretty bad quality, but it's interesting to see it. Okay, the last thing I got here is that Gene Siskel of Siskel and Ebert fame, the movie critics. Siskel was so disgusted by the infamous shotgun head explosion scene that he actually walked out of the theater. And he said on his television show At the Movies with Roger Ebert that the film could not redeem itself after the ultra-violence that he had seen. Siskel and Ebert were super critical of slasher movies. They hated them. They bashed basically every single slasher movie that came out during the 80s that they reviewed. They were really harsh against the Friday the 13th films. So yeah.
I feel like if you walk out on a movie, you cannot give it an honest review.
No,
Because then you haven't seen the full potential of it.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
And like, if someone hates a genre, I wouldn't really trust their review of it either, because then they already have a bias against such movies.
yeah, people didn't give a shit about what the critics said because, well, take
Do they still?
the Friday the 13th films for an example. Each installment did better than the last one.
I think that people still don't really listen to critics, because critics can give something a very good review, a very bad review, and the public's view of said
Yeah.
movie is the opposite.
I think
Most of
critics
the
tend
times.
to be pretty shit most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're better off just doing the opposite of what they say. Watch the movies that they give a low rating and avoid those that get a high rating. You will-
There are exceptions.
Yeah.
For example, Wes Craven's Scream from 1996. The critics loved that movie. And it is a really good movie. So,
Yeah.
there are, of course, exceptions, but it's like you said, Ogge, most of the time you should avoid the movies that gets the praise from the critics.
Yeah. They're the type of people that like art house movies.
Yeah, well, I can fucking stand art house films.
Nobody can.
But yeah, that was actually everything I had for you guys.
nice, nice.
It was a lot more than it usually is, but hey ho.
Lots of interesting stuff too.
Mm. You might be able to find the short, the Maniac 2 proto thing on YouTube. I'm not sure, but you might find it there if you're interested in checking it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well then, shall we wrap things up?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so too.
The next pick is Angels, and she's obviously not here. We even forgot to mention that she wasn't gonna join the episode. But she told me which movie we were gonna cover next, and I believe it's from 1997, and it's called Event Horizon. It's the Paul W.S. Anderson sci-fi horror movie.
That's a good pick.
I haven't seen it for over 10 years, so I can't remember shit about it. So it's gonna be interesting to revisit it.
Yeah. It was a long time since I've seen it, but I've seen it a couple of times.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember it being really good, but yeah, I haven't seen it for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are playing out with Don Armando's Second Avenue Rumba Band going to a showdown.
What the fuck?
Nice.
That was a mouthful.
It really was.
It's the song that plays during the photo shoot in Maniac.
Oh.
I see.
It's a really long title.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But yes.
I guess that's about sums it up. So I guess it's time to say goodbye to the good people.
Goodbye.
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 Bye-bye.
Goodbye, good people. Hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yeah.
And we hope to hear from you in the next.
Please subscribe.
Yeah.